In 1969, Daiei was yet again facing serious financial trouble, but it still had one more Gamera film to deliver. Director Noriaki Yuasa and writer Niisan Takahashi returned, working with an even smaller budget and limited resources. To make the film stand out, they introduced Guiron, a space monster with a knife-like head inspired by ninja weapons. The original design was more abstract and difficult to execute, so the team simplified it into something more visually aggressive and easier to film. Despite the low budget, the production leaned on strong visual ideas that were very ambitious, like the alien world of Terra. Internationally, the film never received a theatrical release in the United States. Instead, it was dubbed and released straight to television under the title Attack of the Monsters, and later was featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000. The film's reception among fans and critics has always been a little mixed. While some saw it as a creative low point, others have admired its strange charm and bold monster design. In my opinion, it's very rough, but I still think it holds a very special place in the franchise's history and is one of the best, one of the worst, but without wasting any more time, let's get into it. This is Gamera vs. Guiron.
Let's go, Gamera!
Two boys, Akio and Tom, follow a mysterious spaceship and are transported to the alien planet of Terra. There they encounter two female aliens who plan to consume their brains. The planet is guarded by Guiron, a monster with a blade-shaped head who kills an attacking space Gaios in a brutal fashion. Gamera arrives from Earth and battles Guiron in an effort to save the children. After a prolonged fight, Gamera defeats Guiron and helps the boys return home using the repaired spaceship. The film ends with the boys reunited with their families and Gamera flying off into the distance.
So long, Gamera! Thank you, Gamera! Goodbye, Gamera!
Gamera vs. Guiron feels like the crew just grabbed the script for Gamera vs. Viras, changed a few names, pointed at the page, and said, "That'll do." The setup is identical. Two boys get kidnapped by aliens with glowing yellow eyes. Most of the movie is them wandering around a spaceship, while Gamera shows up now and then to fight a monster. I couldn't stand Gamera vs. Viras. It drags like crazy, it leans too heavily on stock footage to the point where half of the movie is just a clip show, and it barely holds itself together. But Gamera vs. Guiron as a movie isn't as miserable to get through. The stock footage isn't as bad this time around, and the monster fights actually feel like new material instead of recycled leftovers. The pacing is still very rough at points, but at least you don't spend the whole runtime waiting for something to happen. That's about as much praise as I can reasonably give it. Underneath all of that, it's still the same structure. You've got the same hollow kids sci-fi framework. The problem is that there's just long stretches of the film where the kids are just poking around the spaceship, watching Guiron fight Gamera, and rooting for their giant turtle protector. There's no tension or any story movement. You could cut entire sequences of the film out and the plot wouldn't change one bit. That's the movie in a nutshell. Just waiting around for Gamera to clock in and kick ass. What makes it frustrating is that you can tell there's a better version of this buried under all the fluff. If you cut down the wandering, let the monster fights play out without interruption, it could have been a solid movie. Instead, it's stuck halfway between being passable and being boring. Don't get me wrong, this is still a huge step up from Viras, but that's not really saying much. It's easier to sit through, sure, but it's not something you'll think about again once it's over. You watch it, you get a few good moments, and then it fades right out of your head. What actually pulls me back to Gamera vs. Guiron once in a while is the setting. Out of all the Showa Gamera films, this is the one that really leans into full-blown sci-fi. It throws Gamera into space and it keeps him there. Whole chunks of the movie take place on this alien planet, and that gives it a very different kind of energy compared to the usual city destruction stuff that we see in these movies all the time. It leans harder into that late 60s pulp sci-fi tone more than anything else in the series.
Greetings. We waited for you.
The Terrans themselves as alien villains are nothing to write home about. They have the same glowing yellow eyes as the Virians, the same role in the plot, and they exist to get the kids in trouble and give Gamera something to fight over. If you swap the names between movies, most people wouldn't even notice, but where the Terrans edge out the Virians for me is in the look and their motivations. Their planet, their costumes, the spaceship interior, it all hits that exact late 60s sci-fi vibe that feels cheap but confident. It knows exactly what this is. Like, this isn't trying to be The Godfather Part 2. It knows that this is just another Gamera movie. You can tell they really didn't have much money to work with, but they used what they had in a way that leaves an impression. I also love the whole aliens that want to eat brains concept. It's definitely cheesy, but for a sci-fi kids adventure movie, it's great stuff on paper. But you never once buy into the idea that Akio and Tom are actually in danger. There's never any sense of urgency, and it just feels like you're always waiting around until the next monster scene. Which, let's talk about that, because it is the highlight of the entire movie. The monster action is the one thing in Gamera vs. Guiron that lands perfectly. No question.
Hooray!
That is where the movie puts all of its effort. Gamera does his usual routine, showing up whenever the kids get in trouble, but even if the role feels a bit autopilot-esque, where it's like, we know exactly what we're doing here, we're just going to rinse and repeat the usual Gamera stuff, he still feels big and imposing on screen while coming off as a friendly protector of children, and honestly, that never changes, no matter how repetitive the formula gets. What really sticks with you, though, is Guiron. The design is so sharp and specific in a way that most kaiju from this era aren't. Once you see him, you remember him. Knife for a head, reptilian body, glowing eyes. It's weird, but it works. And what makes it click even more is how he moves in the fight scenes. There's this harsh, deliberate style to his attacks. Every movement is very heavy and dangerous. Again, this really doesn't feel like you're seeing a guy in a suit flail around. This is a monster with purpose behind what he's doing. His roar helps too. That deep, slow bellow almost feels like he's laughing while he fights. It adds to that off-kilter alien energy. Gamera is loud and straightforward, while Guiron sounds like he knows something that you don't. Guiron's fights are shot mostly in these static wide angles that let you really see the weight behind each swing. There's hardly any frantic cutting or shaky camera work that modern kaiju films like to fall back into. Instead, we get something simple and slow-paced. It works, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. It also allows for you to have some really bizarre moments, like the iconic scene where Gamera is doing gymnastics. I love with Gamera films from this era how the camera just sits back and films everything as is. It adds to the scale, and it also kind of hides the poor set work that is involved, given that these films have such a small budget. Then there's the Space Gaios fight. Now, Space Gaios as a monster feels like a complete afterthought. It's just Gaios. Again. Painted silver with zero new abilities or purpose. Same sound effects, same everything. It's padding in the most obvious way, but the fight scene is insanely brutal for something that's meant to be in a kid's movie. Gaios gets sliced apart piece by piece. Head, wings, arms. Watching it, you can tell the whole point of that scene is to make it clear that Guiron is a genuine threat. Gaios wrecked Gamera the last time they fought, with Gamera only narrowly beating Gaios with the help of the JSDF. Meanwhile, Guiron absolutely slaughtered Gaios instantly. By the time Gamera steps in, you already know what Guiron is capable of, and it makes the final fight carry a lot of tension in that regard. Obviously, they're not going to kill Gamera. Duh. But For all the film's problems, that sense of physicality in the monster scenes really gives it something to hold on to. It's the one part where the film truly feels alive. Gamera vs. Guiron, though, really doesn't have anything else going on beneath the surface. It's just monster fights and alien sets. No message, no bigger idea. It's shallow in a way that feels deliberate, like they didn't care about anything beyond hitting the usual beats. People always like to pull the "it's a movie for kids" card with these late Showa Gamera movies, but I don't think that cuts it. Being a kids movie isn't an excuse to make something this empty. There are plenty of films aimed at kids that still bother to introduce real stakes or some kind of theme or point. This doesn't. Beyond the scene at the end where one of the boys just starts rambling about like, oh, we should try and be all peaceful and, no violence, which it just comes out of nowhere. It's so weird.
We should work to make it better. We shouldn't long for other stars. Just try love instead. Stop wars and no more accidents. I guess that's all I can ask.
You're right.
The majority of the film is just them wandering around spaceships and the alien planet, getting from one fight to the next. It's the same as Viras. You watch Guiron slice up Gaios, Gamera shows up to finish things, and then it's done. There's no build-up, nothing. Once those two moments hit, there's nothing left to really take from it. It's dumb fun, sure, but that's all it is. It doesn't leave you with anything of substance, making it the equivalent of kaiju fast food.
I love cheese. Da-da. Ah!
And with all of that out of the way, I'm Cole McCormick. You are watching Firewood Media. This is part 5 of my massive Gamera retrospective project. Big thank you to our channel members for making videos like these possible. Their names are listed here on screen. For $1.99 a month, the executive producer tier gives you loyalty badges, custom emoji, early access to new videos, exclusive members-only content, and the occasional shout-out. You'll also get your name in the credits of every film project that I make, because if you're supporting it, you are producing it. Then there's the custom video tier at $50 a month. Along with everything from the first tier, you'll get a custom video on any topic that you choose. Do you want a deep dive, a weird theory, or something fun? I'll make it happen as long as it's YouTube friendly. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.